Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Polaris. It's nice to meet you if you are new here, and hey, it's great to see you again if you are back. So, this video is a little different from the ones I've been making because I'm actually trying out a few new things. I've been playing Metal Gear Rising and I really do hope this time I'll finish it because now I finally have a better setup to play. I think the art from the Metal Gear series is one of the most recognizable and loved out there, and I would be lying if I said I don't have a huge admiration for Yoji Shinkawa's work. That being said, that's definitely not what I'm trying to do here. Seriously, developing the level of ability and artwork takes a lot of time and a lot of training. Yoji Shinkawa's style is very much traditional, so I think if I want to study it, it would be better to do so on traditional mediums as well. I'm going to recover my watercolor sketchbook and put it to good use to develop those skills. What I'm doing here on this one is trying to go for a looser, more painterly style on digital art. I've never done it before, so I'm testing lots of new stuff. That's why I started recording when I had Raiden's face, sword and sheath already done. I didn't know what I was going to do and what style I was going for until I had those parts done. I'm using a very traditional looking brush, and you can see I'm using some looser, not so perfect brush strokes to sort of imply things rather than make it all perfect. It's something I was figuring out as I went. That's why I went back to his hair to add some more quote-unquote wider and grittier strokes. It was looking too perfect and crisp, different than what I did in his hands mostly. So I think it's only when I reached his hands that I figured out how I wanted to do the brush strokes to go on this illustration. As I work on the rest of this line art, so to speak, I will talk a little bit on how I got there. Metal Gear series as a whole, as I said before, is amazing on its art style, and again, Yoji Shinkawa's work is immediately recognizable. The designs on the characters are also amazing and pretty cool. With Metal Gear Rising here, I'm almost staring at Raiden's cyborg body details in every single cutscene, because I'm always amazed at how accurate it is anatomically speaking. I think it's so cool how almost every detail of like a wire or a connecting piece of his suit is an actual bone or muscle or ligament on the human body. It's quite organic with all the machine looking stuff, which I think it's pretty neat. That goes for all characters, of course. Just Dream Sam, mostly because I think his design is the closest to Raiden's, but all the Winds of Destruction have their very own features that goes with their concepts. Mistral's many arms and Pole made of arms with her legs that are probably as tall as myself, Monsoon being skinny and sleek, giving him that crazy speed and the self-bisecting body, kept together with magnetic currents, Sundowner with his bulky look with a suit that looks like it's made of pure heavy iron, and the shield that works like a huge barrier with those heavy scissor looking swords. Every design is very intentional on the boss's abilities and characteristics, and I'm always happy to see that. Regarding the anatomy, I think the most noticeable ones are Raiden and Jetstream Sam, precisely because theirs are more of an emulation of the actual human body and their skills reside on their sword fighting skills. With Mistral, her skill is on the many arms she has. With Monsoon, his speed and ability to sever his body to attack from different directions. and Sundowner is his tanky and high defense skill. Sam and Raiden are pretty much I have a sword and that's it. And that's why I think it's easier to notice on them. Plus, they are on the screen most of the time. I mean, you're Raiden and he's 100% of the time on your screen. It's difficult not to notice Mr. Lightning Bolt here. When it comes to Yoji Shinkawa's art, his style is more focused on painting by blocking shadows rather than working on the more traditional way of making a crisp line art and filling it with colors. It's like when you do exercises to practice cell shading, for example. You map and block the shadows according to the source of light you choose on your character. In this style, though, instead of having a line art and blocking the shadows, you actually start by only blocking and filling the shadows. No line art, no guidelines, no nothing. It's very difficult and it takes time to train yourself to see things that way and do it easily. I will leave a link to a video of Yoji Shinkawa drawing live so you can see what I'm talking about. It's always interesting watching people drawing this way because you can always see how their hands move, where they apply more pressure and less pressure, how they do it, which lines are deliberate and which ones are happy accidents, and so on. I showed it to my mom. She's the one who taught me to draw mostly, and she paints with colored pencils and oil paint, and she was in awe. It's a pretty cool style to study and to train. Also, on a side note, I was showing my mom the concept art for Metal Gear Rising because game concept art and concept art in general is a type of art she has never seen before, and she complained precisely about the one thing that vexes me the most of all the designs on this game: the foot sizes. All characters have tiny feet comparing to their sizes, and the one that annoyed her the most was Sam's, because, and I quote, "How can a huge man this size stand on such tiny feet?" And quoting again, "These artists don't have annoying moms like you do to criticize their anatomy proportions all the time." And I do agree with her, because that's the one thing that annoys me the most during this whole game, even more than fighting mastiffs, and I am pretty sure I got it from her. Back to the main subject then. I figured I wouldn't be able to do something decent on that line of art style with this drawing here, because it really is my first time trying to do something messier and a little more like a traditional painting. So I realized if I kept trying to do something perfect right from the start, I would be setting myself up for failure. I went for something that is more of a mix of what I already do and this kind of looser way of painting, less focused on perfection and details, and even taking something borrowed from Impressionism, with which I think it's my favorite art movement so far. It's more on implying shapes and details rather than making everything absolutely perfect. I worked on the line art with that in mind and figuring out how to use the pressure of this brush to create broader, sort of messier looking strokes and finer, crispier details here and there. When painting, I again didn't know what to do, so I tested some things without recording, because I said it before, if I'm testing while I am recording, it feels like there is someone watching me and I have a huge block and stop drawing. And I basically mapped out the shadows so I would do the actual painting later. Since I'm going with a painting look, I opted for a watercolor brush, which wasn't easy for me to get used to. But once I realized that the paint not looking smooth and these strokes not blending together actually looks good, I stopped worrying and just went for it. If it looked bad, I would just delete the layer and work on something else, a different way of painting. But it does look nice in the end, at least for me. For the highlights, I opted for another watercolor brush with a gray color to add some details that make his suit look like actual metal. I used the same brush to add the red on his eye. I wasn't going to do it, but I tested it and hey, it looked cool, so I left it there. The rest is just adding a pretty generic blue background. What I didn't record is that I also added some writing and copied what I call the glow layer, the one that adds the light gray to look like that bloom effect in photos and games, and set a blur so that he pops out from the background and doesn't blend in. That's my very first try on a different style, and I am quite happy with it, really. I will be making Jetstream Sam soon enough, because hey, we are from the same country. I have to give some love to my cool Brazilian windman there. Plus, he really is that awesome. No way I wouldn't like him. With the painting style, I think what I will do for training and developing is the same thing I did for learning to draw. Take pictures of people I like and try to draw it on said style. That way I can turn off the part of my brain that keeps thinking about poses and composition and colors and all that info and just focus on learning the style per se. I highly suggest, if you are learning to draw or wanting to learn a new technique, do the same. It's how I learn and it worked for me, so it might work for someone else. I'm not encouraging you guys to literally copy someone else's artwork, but drawing realistic portraits of celebrities, trying to copy video game art, drawings from comic books and mangas that you admire goes a long way. That's what I used to do during classes in school. Also, I recently watched a video by Thomas Clock breaking down the Metal Gear art style, and I think it's an awesome work by another artist that can help with studying new art styles. I'll leave a link so you guys can check it out, because it really is insightful and well done. What he does is pretty much what every artist should do when studying new styles, so I highly suggest learning from it. And hey, I know what you guys are thinking. Who am I in the croissant line to link his video, given the size of his channel and the size of my channel? But hey, it's a pretty good video and I'm gonna give credit where it's due, even if I'm definitely not the most influential person in the world. It's still very nice work and I shall comment on it. Well, I think that's it for this one. As I always say, thank you very much for watching, for being here, and for liking, subscribing and sharing if you felt inclined to do so. I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope to see you again in the next one.